to its breaking point. Just a such a waste.
Hello guys! In this video, we'll be giving you an in-depth analysis of all the noteworthy characters in this series, and how they eventually wound up dead or survive. As the case may be, thing is, many notable heroes and villains survived near close death experiences in the series, but it happens that the ones we least expected to die are those who eventually came to a fatal end. The first character we'll be talking about is Rexplode. Talk about Rex. He an all-round character in the series, providing his cohorts with intense humor and profound sarcasm. At first, he was despised by all the Guardians of the Globe because of his annoying nature, but they all learned to get fond of him, and even appreciated his nature as the team's clown. Rex had a very sad background, as he was merely a government lab rat, making it the reason he refused to abandon his life as a hero to make a family with Shrinking Ray, his third girlfriend so far. Rex has survived many close death experiences, one of which his hand was bitten off and he was shot directly in the head by a member of the Lizard League, but he managed to survive the onslaught and even beat the Lizard King till death. Another brush with mortality was when Multipole went all out on him, as he initially thought his sister was dead and Rex was the cause, but Mark was there to come to his rescue that time. Rex finally met his end when he tried to save his comrades from an evil Invincible that tried to kill them. He held the villain long enough for them to escape, then he ignited his skeleton, turning himself into a suicide bomb with enough force to kill the evil Invincible. Very sad indeed. Rex sacrificed his life at the end to save his comrades, and although I feel his death wasn't exactly justifiable, as it was worthless to die wanting to kill just one evil Invincible, but it was still an heroic act regardless. Moving on, the second character on our list is a renowned hero and an ex-guardian of the globe, Adam Eve. Eve is one of the strongest characters in the series, but her powers had always been restrained by a mental block, which was implanted in her when she was born to limit the level of her powers. Eve only unleashes her true nature when something extremely traumatic happens to her. Eve, being the tritagonist in Invincible, has been at death's door countless times, but she always manages scale through unscathed. Eve's profound love for Mark has always pushed her to defend him at all costs, causing her to be brutally injured, and even went into coma for 3 weeks. On waking up after 3 weeks of laying motionless, she unearthed Mark was taking a nasty beatdown from Conquest, so she was propelled to go over there and lend a helping hand, disregarding her current health status. Eve proved to be a worthy opponent for Conquest, as she put up a worthy battle with him, giving it all she got just to put him to the ground. But her best wasn't enough. Conquest had enough of her shenanigans, so he went all out on her without holding back, and he presumably killed her, or so he thought. Conquest was on the verge of killing Mark for good, and it was at this moment Eve rose from the death, restoring her brutalized skin back to shape. This was the one time in the series Adam Eve let her full powers unfold, and using it, she burned out Conquest's skin with atomic matter. What an epic resurrection. Now let's talk about Cecil, who has been Earth's driving force, and the outstanding human who managed to bring all the heroes together. Cecil didn't just wake up one morning and took control of the GDA. Rather, he rose from ranks to ranks. Due to the fact that Cecil had always been the one to make the hard decisions to ensure Earth's survival, he always encountered problems with Mark, as the latter was strongly against his methods. On a fateful day, Mark flipped out and wanted to kill Cecil, but he already predicted this day would come, so he was very much ready. Cecil unleashed his League of Sinclair's robot to withhold Mark, but he annihilated them all, one after another. Cecil had another trick up his sleeve, and when Mark felt he was getting closer, he unleashed it. Due to the intensity of the weapon, Mark evaded Cecil for quite a while. Then they took the battle to the GDA headquarters. The frequency barrier eventually went out of juice, so Mark used the opportunity to give Cecil a last warning, even almost killing him in the process. At the very end, Cecil proved himself to be a survival, getting past all the evils that befell Earth. Next on our list is the supervillain Multipole. Paul happened to be a reputable assassin for the global crime syndicate, and he showed himself for the first time in the series. When he almost killed Rexplode, Mark eventually captured him and took him to prison, but he refused to let his legacy end there. He was brutal to the extent that he made many duplicates of himself, so much that they couldn't fit into the room, making the cell door burst wide open. His duplicates were the sacrifice he had to make to escape from prison, but his sacrifice was deemed worthless, as he wasn't still able to escape after killing that much of himself. That wasn't the only time he killed himself to escape prison, as the second time was when Mr. Lou and Mark engaged in a brutal battle, one which demolished half of the penitentiary Paul was incarcerated in. On seeing this opportunity, he forced himself out of the device that restricted his powers to make duplicates, and it eventually worked, but his significant others had to pay the price. Going forward, Oliver is another notable, strong, and epic character in this series. Due to his origin as part Flaxen/part Viltrumite, he growing up happened very fast, and he got his powers way too early than expected. Oliver was overly eager for Mark to tutor him on how to use his powers efficiently, but the feeling that he's strong made him slightly arrogant. Oliver developed an utterly stubborn nature, making him always do the opposite of what Mark instructed him to do. This obstinate, pig-headed character almost got him killed by different supervillains, and if not for Mark, who always comes to his rescue, he would have been long gone by now. Oliver also felt justice should be dispensed how he sees fit, causing the death of the Mauler twins, who have survived death right from the onset of the series. Conquest showed Oliver there are greater powers in the world, and came so close in obliterating the boy. But as usual, Mark couldn't live to let that happen, so he saved him from death's claws yet again. Next on the list is the superhero Immortal. Throughout the course of the series, Immortal is a hero that had been killed more times than I can count, proving himself eternally worthy of his name. In an alternate universe in the future, Immortal remained alive for thousands of years, to the extent his entire existence became irritating. On encountering Mark, he beckoned on him to end his misfortune once and for all, and after much deliberation, Mark eventually granted him his wish. Even at that, Immortal is still capable of being brought back to life, as he just needs someone to stitch his head back together. And evidence of this was when leagues of evil Invincibles invaded Earth, and one of them was opportune to break into the GDA headquarters. Immortal was murdered in the most brutal way possible in the course of the brawl, but after everything was over, Cecil still succeeded in stitching his head back together, bringing him to life once again. Another Viltrumite death worthy of recall was the executioner who was sent to kill Omni-Man for good. Alan broke out of prison to save Omni-Man from being executed, and in the process, he enlisted the help of Battle Beast to ensure the success of his cause. Omni-Man already accepted fate that he's going to die, as it was due punishment according to Viltrum's law. Alan unearthed Omni-Man wasn't willing to escape anytime soon, so he allowed himself to take a brutal beat down from a Viltrumite, and then his plan eventually worked. Joining forces together, Omni-Man and Alan jointly exterminated the first executioner, while Battle Beast, after hours of fighting, tore the second Viltrumite executioner to pieces. Immensely epic, I would say. Now to one of the most tragic stories in Invincible, the one of Force Fist. He was actually a good guy from the onset, but the fight between Mark and his father killed his entire family. Force Fist blamed Mark for this occurrence, and from there onwards, he sought out different measures to ensure he annihilates Invincible. Due to his relentless need for revenge, he went as far as convincing his wife and only child to act as captives, just to get Mark's attention. Mark showed up not long after, and instantly, Force Fist unleashed hell on him. Due to his hunger for revenge, he subconsciously murdered the only family he had left. But after all these tragedy, he still put the entirety of the blame on Mark, instead of seeking penitence for his actions. Rage can be really cruel. Another group of people who happened to survive mutilation were the Guardians of the Globe. The League of Evil Invincibles who invaded Earth killed a lot of superheroes, and the Guardians of the Globe were not spared from this catastrophe. It took just one evil Invincible to brutally kill all the Guardians, and he did it with utmost ease. It was really surprising to see they all survived the onslaught and were patched back together by Cecil's medical team. Last but not the least, the penultimate supervillain on our list is Neil Armstrong. He was a villain with no motive at all, as he had always been fighting for a wrong cause. An Invincible from an alternate universe murdered his family, but he chose to blame Mark for everything and has been hunting him down ever since then. To aid his cause, Armstrong even conned up a league of variant Marks to kill the one Mark that happened to be innocent. Well, if I was to say Armstrong is the most useless villain in the series. His plan of destruction went as planned, but due to his cunning nature, he refused to fulfill the promise he made to the evil Invincibles that made them fight for him. So when they attempted to retaliate, he trapped them in an alternate universe. Periodically, Mark found him and engaged him in a gruesome battle which eventually led to him escaping, but lost one arm in the process. He beckoned on his technicians to help him, but they too already knows his nature. So they promised to help him on one condition, one that entails he works for them and does exactly what he's commanded to do. Finally, the last supervillain in our list is Conquest. Conquest happens to be on the list of the first 10 strongest characters in Invincibles, showcasing he's not to be trifled with. He actually wanted Mark to resist his takeover, as he sees the destruction of a planet as a fun he'll revel in. Due to Mark's resistance, Oliver got so close to his life ending abruptly. Conquest even beat Adam Eve to a state close to death, and it was this traumatic experience that forced Eve to unleash her full powers on him. Mark was so angry that Conquest almost killed the love of his life, so out of provocation, he savagely ended Conquest's life without mercy. After the confirmation of Conquest's death, Mark instructed Cecil to burn up his body so as to ensure he's finally dead. But unlike what he was told, he preserved his body in a secluded facility in bid to get more answers about Viltrum's empire when he wakes up. Guess we'll have to await Conquest's comeback. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you.